Hello and welcome to my channel. This week I want to see if I can use some UV resin to create a stained glass effect robin decoration. So I've traced my pattern onto some tracing paper and I have a piece of acetate that's sitting over the top of it. And in this bottle that's covered with a finger from a glove is some UV resin. The glove is just there just to stop any light getting in there. So I'm going to trace over the lines on top of the acetate. I'm going to try and make it very thin. This was a needle-nosed bottle, but the needle kept blocking, so I've just taken that out and I'm just using the tip. But you can see I'm getting a fairly thin line, so I'm going to set that really quickly using a torch before it spreads on the acetate. And this is my plan, is to keep going over the lines and setting them as I go. Just do one small section, set it. I've just got to make sure that when I start a new section I do actually stick it to the one that was previously there. And I'm going to keep going around and I'll see if I can get some decent depth on this. This is just an ordinary UV resin. It's not high viscosity or anything like that. I will put the link to the resin that I've used in the description box below. If I don't think this is tall enough, I'm going to put another layer on top. So I'm going to speed up through this bit and then I can move on to the next step. Okay, that's the outline complete, and I used my lamp to help set it. Now I'm using this silver chrome marker from JDiction and I'm going to go over the top of the lines and colour them in. I want them to look like the leading that you have between the stained glass pieces. So I'm just going to trace over the lines and make sure that they're coated, and then I need to leave that to completely dry and I can decide whether I actually want to put a coat of resin on top of them, which I probably will because they'll need to be protected. Now I've got a small amount of the silver onto the acetate, so I'm going to use some alcohol, and I've got a Q-tip or a cotton bud, and I'm just going to dampen the tip, and I'm going to use that to carefully remove that from the acetate, because obviously if I'm going to be putting some colour in there I don't want to be able to pick up that silver. So I'm just removing any overspill, but to be honest with you, that's fine. It just needs now to dry completely and then I can add another coat of the resin over the top of the lines. I'm laying down another coat on top of the lines and on top of the chrome just to protect it, but I did notice that it had a tendency to blob a little bit more and run down sides. I'm not using a high viscosity resin, I'm just using normal resin. So it will be interesting to see whether that is something I can do in the future, is to actually try this again and just use high viscosity. I think it will give me more defined lines. Okay, my lines are done and I need to find a red mica. I'm going to use this nail powder and it's from a company called Dufan. I believe that's how you pronounce it. I will leave the link for that again in the description box below. So I'm just adding some UV resin to a pot and then I can put a small amount of this red mica powder in, and then I need to mix it all in. I only need to fill small areas, so I don't need to mix up too much. But I think this is a really vibrant red. It's a little too red, so I'm definitely going to want to try and tone this down a little bit. And I'm going to do that by adding another colour, another pigment. So I need to add a little bit more resin, and then I can put another pigment in. You shouldn't have too much pigment in a small amount of resin. I'm using the JDiction Orange resin colour, and I'm just going to put one drop. And then I'll mix that in, and hopefully that will make this a little bit more, well, just tone down the vibrancy a little bit. I think that's a much nicer colour. So make sure that's all mixed in, and then I can paint that in the area. It really is just colouring in the lines. You can see roughly where I am now. A little bit of the top coat that I did, the second top coat of the UV resin, has fallen into the centre of my acetate. So that area is going to be clear. So I'm hoping I can actually cover over the top of it with this colour that I'm putting in now. I'll probably do a couple of coats. I want this to be sturdy because my aim is to actually pop this off of the acetate once I have cured all of the pieces. So once I've filled this area in, it'll be a case of setting it again. Then I'm going to flip the acetate over and cure it from the back as well, just to make sure that it is all cured. And this is what it looks like. You can see a little bit of the clear around the edges where the top layer ran in, but hopefully now I'm going to be doing a second coat on here, and that will cover those little areas up. I do want to be careful that I don't put too much in and that I do have the clearly defined lines around it. But anything that I do, if I get it on those lines, I can quickly wipe them off with a cotton bud or something just before I cure it. That's the great thing about UV resin. Nothing's set in stone until you've cured it. So now I've got the red belly, I need to do the wings. So I'll get a fresh pot and add some more UV resin. And I've got some brownish nail, it's not nail powder, it's a mica powder, and I've had it for quite some time, so I don't know where I got it from. So I'm just going to put a little bit of that. It looks like chocolate powder. So I'll pop that into the pot and mix that in. And it looks very sort of reddish to me. And when I tried it, I didn't like it. That's not the colour I was looking for. I really want a darker brown. So I'm just going to remove that. I checked to see if I had any more brown mica powder, and I found Arteza Chocolate brown. So I mixed that into my pot, and then I went ahead and started to fill in the wings. And that's a much better colour. So I carried on filling in the wings and then curing them as I went along. So I put a little bit too much in there, so I'm just scooping some out just to fill in the last small area of the tail. And it really helps having the thin tip of this micro brush, because you can get into some very small areas. I'm just scooping it up and putting it into the tail, and then using the brush just to get it where I want it to go. I really like the kind of streaky textured look that I've got here. I really hope that does stay, because that looks exactly like stained glass. You get textured stained glass. So I'm just smoothing it out, making sure that it is touching all of the edges, and then again I need to cure this, and I can give that a second coat as well. So for the final area, I'm using the white nail powder, and I've just mixed some up with the UV resin, and I'm just going to fill this area. And again, this will have 2 coats. So I'm just going to drop a bit in and spread it out. It's really important that I make sure I touch all of the sides. Again, I have a blob there of the clear that fell into the center when I was making the top coat of the lines. So I'm hoping that my second coat will cover it. It has done on the other couple of layers. So once I've got all of this smoothed out and it's touching everywhere, I'm going to cure that, and then I will add another coat on top, and then I can try and peel this off of the acetate backing. I've just mixed up the tiniest amount of resin with some Winsor & Newton ink. It's just black ink, and it was literally just the tip of the micro brush that I added to that. So I'm just going to dot an eye and cure that quickly with my torch. Just enough to set it and stop it from running. I want it to be a nice small round dot. That should be enough. And now I need to give him a beak, so I'm just going to use the same brown that I used for the wings. So I'll just quickly paint a small triangle, and I'm going to set that and the eye together. And now that the outline is cured, I can just fill in that. And that was actually a little bit too much. This is such a small area. So I'm just going to scoop up the excess with the cotton bud. Tidy it up a little bit. And then you would never know that I put a big splod there. So I'm just cleaning a little bit off of their lines as well. And now I'll set that, and then I can add some more after. Okay, I have cured that from the back, and I think you can see that here there's a little area that is still clear. That was because when I did my top coat over the lines, it actually just ran down into the side, and that's filled that with clear. Now I think what I probably can do is just go back over that with the silver pen and try and carefully fill that in, and make it look like the actual silver line, or the leading. I think it's called leading, isn't it? So that looks pretty good. I've got a bit of overspill here, So I'm just going to go over the top of that. I don't think that's too bad. They're not the neatest lines. It's the first time doing this, but I think for a first attempt, I'm pretty happy with that. I'm going to see now carefully if I can remove this from the acetate without snapping it. And I think next time I am going to try this again, because I want to make quite a few of them to put on my Christmas tree. I think I'm going to, oh, yep, it popped off perfectly. So I just got a few little areas to neaten up there. I love that. I think that is really sweet. So I just need to attach a hanger. I've actually got some bails for jewellery, so I might do that, or I could just resin a small loop of wire or something on the back. I'll have a look at that in a little while. But yeah, I love that. So I am going to try again with some JDiction High Viscosity UV resin to try and draw the lines, because I think they might stay in, you know, the shape that I'm putting them in. I don't think it was down to me being particularly jittery with my hand. I think the resin just flowed a little bit more quickly than I wanted it to. So I will show you some pictures of the results that I get using the JDiction's High Viscosity resin. But in the meantime, yeah, I like it. It's a faux stained glass using UV resin.
See the robin hop along, bobbing on the ground, with feathers bright and lively, in colors so profound. A flash of red upon its chest, like a sunrise in the dawn, dancing through the morning light until the night is gone. Oh, little robin red, bring the cheer around with every hop and every song. The sweetest little sound, you'll brighten up the winter, you lift us from the gray. Little robin red, you're here to save the day. From tree to fence you skip and play, in the fields of green and gold, and icy winds you still stay warm.
Okay, I just want to point something out. This was the first line that I did, and I cured it before I added this line. And you can see that I've got nice neat joins here. This one was, I went all the way around so that when this line joined up here, the resin was still wet and uncured. And you can see that it's created a much thicker join, and it's flowed. And instead of being a nice sharp point here, I've got some infill. And I've also not actually met this line here, so I will need to join that up. So this is the High Viscosity resin, and I think I am getting a better line, but I also think it's best to, when you're adding a new line, to join it onto an already cured piece. Don't join two lines together that are wet and fresh. So I'm going to carry on and see if I can learn any more tips from this. And
from tree to fence you skip and play, in the fields of green and gold, and icy winds you still stay warm, so brave and free and bold. A sparkle in your tiny eyes, so merry, bright and true. You're here to spread a bit of joy like only robins do. Oh, little robin red, you bring the cheer around with every hop and every song. The sweetest little sound, you brighten up the winter, you lift us from the gray. Little robin red, you're here to save the day. With us
Okay, I think that has given me much better lines. They are much thicker, and when I went over the top, it didn't immediately flow down into the voids here. It is a little bit wriggly, and I think that's probably one of the issues, is that you have to squeeze the bottle quite hard to get the resin to come out, and that leads to a slight tremor. Wasn't too bad. I think it was pretty good here. I think this is the way to go, using the high viscosity rather than the other one. Yeah, I think I could probably improve and get that a little bit smoother over time, but I don't know. I can't really show you the depth that I've got there. But anyway, I'm going to off camera carry on filling this in and making my little robin, and I will show you it at the end, and you can compare it to the first one that I made.
See the robin hop along, bobbing on the ground, with feathers bright and lively, in colors so profound. A flash of red upon its chest, like a sunrise in the dawn, dancing through the morning light until the night is gone. Oh, little robin red, you bring the cheer around with every hop and every song, the sweetest little sound. You brighten up the winter, you lift us from the grave. Little robin red, you're here to save the day. From tree to fence you skip and play in the fields of green and gold. In icy winds you still stay warm, so brave and free and bold. A sparkle in your tiny eyes, so merry, bright and true. You're here to spread a bit of joy like only robins do. Oh, little robin red, you bring the cheer around with every hop and every song, the sweetest little sound. You brighten up the winter, you lift us from the grave. Little robin red, you're here to save the day. With a gentle wing you greet the spring, you welcome in the sun. In gardens wide and city parks, your magic's just begun. You wear that chest of fire bright, a little piece of light. In the chill of dawn you're singing on, and everything feels right. Oh, little robin red, you bring the cheer around with every hop and every song, the sweetest little sound. You brighten up the winter, you lift us from the grave. Little robin red, you're here to save the day. Here to save the day. Keep on hopping, bobbing with that heart so bold. Through rain or snow or sunny days, your story's always told. Oh, little robin red, you bring the cheer around with every hop and every song, the sweetest little sound. You brighten up the winter, you lift us from the grave. Little robin red, you're here to save the day. Here to save the day.
Okay, so they are done. This is the first one that I did with just medium viscosity resin, and the one I used was this one, and I think it's quite good actually. Probably I did a better job than I did here, and I think this waviness at the top is literally due to the fact that it was much harder to get the resin out of the needle nose bottle. The original, the original one that I used, I didn't have the needle, this one, didn't have the needle in. I just used the actual hole in the bottle, but the JDiction High Viscosity resin I put into this needle nose bottle, and it was much harder to get out, so I got a little bit of a tremor going on there when I was squeezing the bottle. But all in all, I really do like the roundness of my lines. I was able to stack them easier using the high viscosity resin, and it didn't flow down the sides and into the cavities. So you can see I'm gone almost up to the lines, almost completely up to the line. And actually what you're seeing is where the resin spreads out, and I haven't been able to I haven't been able to draw using the chrome marker down into those sections. Now I could have done, but I would have got on to the acetate, so that's why I just marked over the top. And then you saw me go around the outside, which I've also done here, just to complete the lines. So to be honest with you, I like both of these. I think they both give me the same effect, and I have put some resin on the back. I did have too much on here, so I scraped a little bit off back into the bottle. But yeah, I am loving them. So I'm going to make quite a few of these, and so that they look pretty good on my tree, they're not going all in the same direction, I'm just going to trace from the back, or you just draw over the back, and I will make some that face in the right direction and some that face left. And I mean, there are lots of other options, other birds you can do. So let me know in the comments, what's your favourite bird? What would you do for your Christmas tree? I hope you've liked this. If you did, please give me a thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't subscribed. It's free, and I'm going to be back next week with another video. So I hope you'll join us. Thank you very much for watching. Bye.